Craig Ferguson is a great late-night host and quick-witted comedian who naturally knows how to describe himself. His charisma and charm have made a lot of the female guests on The Late Show fall head over heels for him. Ferguson did say lately that a love had a big impact on his life, though. Through a mix of humor, honesty, and memories, he told the world who really is the love of his life. Many people are interested in the woman who won over one of the most lovable TV stars after hearing this news. Identify her. Was the show the start of their relationship? Join us as we look into this scary news. Craig Ferguson was born in Scotland and now lives in the United States. He is a comedian, actor, writer, and TV host. In 2009, he won a Peabody Award for his talk with South African Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He is best known for hosting The Late Show with Craig Ferguson on CBS. Craig Ferguson was born in the British town of Springburn on May 17, 1962. Ferguson was born into a working-class family and grew up in Glasgow in the 1960s and 1970s, which was both exciting and dangerous. He was born into a family of four. There was no one to raise him but his mother, Janet Ferguson. His father, Robert, worked for the post office. While he was young, Ferguson was known for having a wicked sense of humor, which would later define his career. In his youth, he did have to deal with a number of problems. Ferguson quit high school when he was 16 because he was having trouble in school and felt like an outsider. Despite these early problems, punk rock music helped him feel better and had a big effect on who he was as a youth. When Ferguson dropped out of school to become an electronics worker, he started an apprenticeship. But he quickly realized that this wasn't his calling. After deciding to make a name for himself in show business, he started out playing drums for the punk band The Bastards from Hell, who are now known as Dream Boys. It was during this time that his love of acting grew, which led him to start doing stand-up comedy. After an awkward start as a comedian, he took on the name Hitler, which he had taken from Peter Capaldi, to make fun of the overly patriotic Scottish folk singers who seemed to be in every public performance. Ferguson had a huge hit with the part at the 1986 Edinburgh Festival Fringe after his first performance in Glasgow. But Ferguson was already talking about letting Bing go by the end of the year. After her big break at the Edinburgh Festival, Ferguson appeared on TV as Confidence in Red Dwarf and on STV's Hogmanay events in the 1993 Christmas show One Foot in the Algarve. Helen Atkinson Wood and Paul Whitehouse both had parts in The Craig Ferguson Show, a comedy pilot for Granada TV in 1990. Ferguson also looked into how to be successful in musical theater. In 1991, he played Brad Majors in the London version of the Rocky Horror Show, which was his first time on stage. In 1994, he played Father McLean in Bad Boy Johnny and the Prophets of Doom at London's Union Chapel. In that same year, he went back to the Edinburgh Fringe and played Oscar Madison in The Odd Couple. Rick Siegel, who would later become Ferguson's agent, saw him act at the Edinburgh Festival and told him he should move to the United States. In November 1994, Ferguson moved to Los Angeles. His first role as an actor in the United States was as Baker Logan McDonough in the 1995 ABC comedy Maybe This Time, which starred Betty White and Marie Osmond. From 1996 to 2003, he played Mr. Wick, the main character's boss, on The Drew Carey Show in the United States, which was his big break. He said that by playing the part with an over-the-top aristocratic English accent, he was trying to make up for the many generations of English actors who had done bad Scottish accents. He said that James Doohan's role as Montgomery Scott on Star Trek made him want to get even in his comedy spectacular, A Wee Angry Revolution. His unusual ways of firing people made him stand out, and Johnson was the most common last name among those who were fired. Even though he left the show in 2003, he kept coming back as a recurring character in the last two seasons and the two-part 2004 series end. Ferguson would write and work in his trailer during breaks from shooting his segments for The Drew Carey Show. He has been in many movies, including Saving Grace, I'll Be There, and The Big Tease, in which he also played the lead role. I'll Be There, which won Best Picture at the Aspen, Dallas, and Valencia Film Festivals, was also directed and produced by him. Craig Ferguson got praise for his work on The Drew Carey Show, but it was on The Late Show that he really made it. He went from being a famous character actor to a recognized late-night TV host with his own style. When Craig Kilburn quit The Late Show in January 2005, Ferguson took over, even though he was already famous as Mr. Ferguson was on The Drew Carey Show and was wicked. At that time, most Americans didn't know who Ferguson was because David Letterman and Jay Leno ruled late-night TV. Still, Ferguson had an instant effect. Ferguson did things in a very different way when it came to organizing. While most late-night comedians stick to speeches, sketches, and interviews, he brought something new to the genre. Instead of going over his lines again and again, he would often start with an unplanned open, calling out to the crowd in a friendly way. This spontaneous style set him apart from other artists of the time, and people quickly fell in love with his natural charm and fun. Ferguson was famous on The Late Show for being able to combine fun with real honesty in a way that no one else could. He wasn't afraid to talk about tough topics like his battle with addiction, his path to becoming a citizen, and the death of his father. It was during these vulnerable times that he really connected with his audience and gave the act more meaning. Having Ferguson on the show was one of its best parts. He wasn't like most late-night shows because he rarely used canned answers or banter. He, on the other hand, had real conversations with his guests, even if they sometimes got off track, which made for funny and surprising moments. He was naturally good at making people feel at ease, and his charm and sense of humor made the interviews seem more like casual chats than promotional stops on a media tour. The way he talked to Secretariat was one of the show's cute quirks. A performance horse in Jeff Peterson, a skeleton robot with a voice. The show's unique weird humor and ability to stand out from other late-night shows were both helped by these absurdist touches. It was a huge hit for Ferguson to be on The Late Show. She got a lot of fans and attention from critics. His 2009 Peabody Award-winning chat with Archbishop Desmond Tutu showed how smart and skillful he was at talking about important issues. Ferguson told the public in April 2014 that he was leaving the show after almost 10 years on air. The show on December 19, 2014 was his last. It was a happy celebration of his time as a host, with cameos from many of his favorite guests and a touching farewell. Along with his departure, an age of late-night TV came to an end, but he left a big mark on the genre. In October 2013, Coquette Productions said that Ferguson would be presenting the syndicated game show Celebrity Name Game starting in late 2014. The idea for the CBS evening show and the pilot episode happened in 2011, and Ferguson has been working on the project ever since. In April 2014, the first order for 180 episodes of the show was made. The broadcast show's first episode aired on September 22, 2014. Ferguson won 2 afternoon Emmys in 2015 and 2016 for her work as the host of Celebrity Name Game Outstanding Game Show Host. It was said that the show would not be returning after 3 seasons. Ferguson joined a BC's comedy project, The King of 7 Billion, in 2015 to play Prentice Porter. It's too bad that no network picked up the show. On February 18, 2016, the first episode of his history talk show Join or Die with Craig Ferguson aired. Ferguson got the tattoo on his arm after he became a citizen of the United States. It was a tribute to a political picture that Benjamin Franklin drew and published in the Pennsylvania Gazette on May 9, 1754. Ferguson is joined by three historians and comedians on each show for a fun discussion about a different subject. In the past, we've talked about the worst presidential campaign, the most important founding father, and the most innovative device. Ferguson was the host of the American game show The Hustler on ABC from January 20th, 2021 to April 21st, 2022. The show encouraged fans to share their thoughts on Twitter. One of the competitors is known as the Hustler in secret, and having known all the answers before the show starts. While the other four work together to answer Ferguson's knowledge questions and win a cash prize, two of the honest contestants are kicked out at the end of the game. The other two must pick the Hustler correctly if they don't want the Hustler to get the whole prize. The show's premiere was on January 4th, 2021, and it went back to its regular time on January 7th, 2021. It was said that the show stopped in April 2022, after airing every Thursday at 10 p.m., consisting of 2 seasons and 19 shows in total. Craig Ferguson has had a lot of ups and downs in his love life, just like his difficult personal journey. Ferguson has been married 3 times and has been very open about each one. He has talked about the details of each one with the same honesty and self-reflection that makes him a public figure. Ferguson's first wife in 1983 was Anne Hogarth, who was also from Scotland. Ferguson got married before he became popular and moved to the United States. They split up in 1986, so the marriage wasn't very long. Ferguson got married to bodybuilder and exercise trainer Sacha Corwin in 1998. More people were interested in this union. When Ferguson first came to work as a worker in the United States in 2001, he and his wife had a son named Milo Hamish Ferguson. The happiness of having a child did not stop the divorce in 2004 from ending the marriage. Ferguson is still very close with both Sacha and her mother, even though they are no longer married. She has said nice things about Sacha in interviews, pointing out that they respect each other and can work together as parents. The third and present wife of Ferguson is the art dealer Megan Wallace Cunningham from Vermont. Their wedding took place on December 21, 2008, in a small celebration on land owned by her family. Megan has mostly stayed out of the press, even though her husband is famous. She and her husband have a stable relationship where they support each other. A boy named Liam James Ferguson was born to them in 2011. We can finally answer the question that everyone wants to know. Who is Craig Ferguson's true love? Could it have been his second wife, Sacha, or one of the many women he had wooed on his shows? Craig Ferguson recently said on The Stern Show that he asked Sharon Stone to go on a date after she was on The Late Show. Craig only said that he and Sharon had dinner together that night. I have to be honest and say that I couldn't stop thinking about that scene from Basic Instinct. Craig didn't think the date was worth it because it was too much like their TV interview, and he couldn't help but picture Sharon in one of her most famous movie roles. I believe we both did pretty well. Craig admitted it. Craig quickly got engaged after meeting Megan, the woman who would become his wife, and never looked back. He said that he was happy about being taken. Howard said that Craig told him that once they met, that was it. To be honest, I think it saved me. I think I would have looked stupid if I had tried. It looks like they'll be together for a long time, and Ferguson has said many times that Megan gives him security and perspective. His marriage has brought him a lot of happiness, especially after the bad relationships he had before. He even called her the love of his life. Ferguson's stand-up routines and talk show rants are funny and thoughtful because they are based on his own experiences with love and marriage. His fans were touched by how open he was about the ups and downs of his relationships, especially how hard it is to keep relationships going while being famous. When they got off of The Late Show, the other TV shows Craig Ferguson was in showed how versatile he is as a host, actor, and director. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, The Howard Stern Show, The Daily Show, Loveline, The View, and Late Show with David Letterman are just some of the TV shows he has been on. He has also been on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, and The Howard Stern Show with David Letterman. There was The Price is Right, The Soup, The Talk, Real Time with Bill Maher, Kevin Pollak's Talk Show, and The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. In 2014, on April Fool's Day, he was a guest host on The Price is Right. He also co-hosted Live with Regis and Kelly with Kelly Ripa. Ferguson made an in-show appearance on Family Guy's We Love You, Conrad in 2009. He was in charge of the 32nd Annual People's Choice Awards on January 10, 2006. From 2007 to 2010, he was the host of CBS's Boston Pops Fireworks Spectacular, which was shown all over the country. He also sang at the White House Correspondents Association dinner in Washington, D.C. in 2008. D.C. On April 26th. Ferguson has done voice work for a number of cartoon movies. As Susan the Boyle on Futurama, a character based on the Scottish singer Susan Boyle, he did voice work for the character. In both New York and Las Vegas, he did stand-up comedy. He was the main act at the Just for Laughs Festival in Montreal. Ferguson also taped his October 2008 stand-up show in Boston for a We Bitter Revolution special that aired on Comedy Central on March 22, 2009. An idea for the British comedy drama Doc Martin came from a character in Ferguson's movie Saving Grace, and Ferguson wrote 12 episodes of the show. It was on November 6, 2009, and Ferguson played himself in a SpongeBob SquarePants show called SpongeBob's Truth or Square. He played a newspaper reporter in the last episode of Hot in Cleveland season in September 2013. Betty White, who used to be his co-star and a regular on The Late Show, saw him again on the show. Ferguson played the part again in several episodes when the show came back in March 2014. Ferguson started his talk show, The Craig Ferguson Show, on February 27, 2017. It airs on the Comedy Greats channel and Faction Talk on Sirius XM satellite radio. The show is 2 hours long.